I'm excited to see the competition live.
The big thing that's new this year is we're trying out a new lightning round.
So when we were planning this event, the Active Cell conference last year and the finals of the Excel Championships, we basically saw that it's going to be such a pity if we have all those Excel pros, world champions, Excel MVPs all gathering in one place and not being able to get everyone get a part of their knowledge and a part of their experience.
Let's go and have a look at the leaderboard straight away.
One minute remaining for the last 20 seconds.
Can he move up and get Peter? That's the question.
What are you going to do with all your prize money?
Just gamble it away.
One last round of applause for our winners. Benjamin Weber.
It's amazing. It was a really tough pace. It's really intense.
Hello and welcome to the MECC Online Regional Winners Battle. Today I am joined by Eric Kelly, making his broadcast debut, a professor of finance from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Eric, how you feeling today?
Feeling great. And try not to overthink it. Just having a conversation. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun here. We're gonna talk a little bit about how we got here, and then we'll bring our participants in just a second. So this is kind of a new event for us in the MECC this year. The 2025 season has started out with monthly challenges. We have weekend battles the students compete in. We've had those from January all the way through April now. And in April, we had our first big regional competition where 5 different sites all around the world competed in the same Excel challenges on the same day. Eric, you were a host of one of those. Can you tell us a little bit about how that went in Tennessee?
Yeah, it went great. This is the second year we had these regional battles. So the first year we just had one at Tennessee, and then this year we had one at 5 different regions simultaneously. But each region brought several different schools in, and the students there competed in 4 different cases. We had a varsity division and a JV division. Had some special unique things going on at each one of the sites, bringing in some experts, and had a great time. And in each one of these regional competitions, there was a single winner that was crowned that was basically the best performer across all 4 cases. And that's who we have here.
Exactly. We're going to see the best of the best heading off today. And what they're playing for is now a spot in the semifinals in Las Vegas this coming December. So the top 3 students today are all going to get their tickets punched. They've got, the easiest way into the semifinals, as well as they're going to get their airfare covered, their hotel, the conference registration. So they're going to get everything taken care of to get themselves to Las Vegas in December. We'll talk a little bit more later about how you can get there as well, how to get your team, how to get your school there, and how to get involved. But for now, let's go ahead and bring in our participants and meet each of them. All right, so welcome everybody. How are you all feeling this morning?
Feeling good.
I'm good.
Good.
All right, so let's meet our kind of winners from each regional. First, Matt Beard from the University of Sydney. How are you doing today, Matt?
Doing good. Feeling good. Yeah.
So Matt, a quick question for you, and this will actually we'll understand. Everyone will understand this a little bit more later. But have you ever shot a duck?
I haven't shot a duck, no. But I'm scared that you said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at some point, maybe you will.
Maybe.
All right. We'll see how Eric's line of questioning goes with the rest of the contestants this morning. But Andy Durant, welcome, the champion from the Excel on Rocky Top from the University of Kentucky, which that was a big win given that you were playing your rivals in Tennessee, right?
Oh, absolutely. It felt good. It felt really good to win that.
I'll also add
I'm
that
sure
Andy,
it did.
Andy was also part of the recent team that won the team showdown that took place in Dallas just last week. So congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, at least I'm not bitter. But so y'all got the y'all got the cup. That's pretty cool. I think so. Who has that cup right now?
I wish I had it right here next to me so you all could see it, but my professor has it at the School of Business. So he repainted it, made it all shiny, and it's looking good.
But he didn't do anything. Y'all should. Y'all should do the Stanley Cup thing where like everybody gets it for a day or something. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd
do
be
that
fun.
and get it up on social media. So yeah.
All right, next up we have Jackson Weber. He participated in the Northern Arizona Regional and actually represented the University of Arizona team. So Jackson, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Jack, it's good to see you again. So how's I guess it's really early in the morning. How's life in Tucson this spring?
Well, actually, this weekend's been really hot, but doing good. 7:05 here in the morning. Ready to win this thing.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, good luck today.
Bear down. I don't have favorites, right? Anyway, moving on. So next we have Alexander Rosenkranz from the University of Central Florida. How you doing, Alex?
Doing good.
Alexander, so good to see you. What are you working on as far as school goes? Where are you heading in the next year or so?
I'm entering my final year of my major, so I just have like a few classes left before I graduate. in marketing. So really all for me.
Yeah, I think and I know that you're kind of blending together marketing and data analytics, which is, I think, an awesome marriage, and certainly you've got an affinity for what we're doing.
I have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, Dylan Yoder was first, or actually not first in the Massachusetts Regional, but I think one of your classmates was graduating today. So you got bumped up, kind of moved up to the big leagues today. So how you feeling?
Feeling good. Kind of was surprised when I got the invite to this, but hey, feeling ready. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So when you did get that invitation, so what'd you do? What'd you do to kind of scurry and prep for this?
Just kind of ran through some cases. Ran through a lot of the old visual cases and stuff that we've done here in previous months, as well as a lot of the stuff we did at the UMass Regional. Just kind of was trying to crank through those and just kind of stay warm, I guess.
So out of curiosity,
good luck.
Can you guys give me a quick thumbs up or thumbs down if you got the Case Explorer badge so far this year? Uh-oh. All right, so Alex, you're the only one that hasn't. I hope you've seen most of the cases. I know everybody had a chance to get kind of familiar with these cases, and you might have seen them last fall as well, because we've recycled some of those. We use them for training materials, really to build up student skills. We have walkthrough videos that go with all of them. So if you're watching today and want to kind of understand the background behind the case, which you're going to find out about in just a minute, go check out that Case Explorer badge, sign up at mecc.college, and you'll have free access to all those materials. All right, so with that said, let's actually get in and learn a little bit more about what today's case is about.
Welcome to the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge Regional Winners Battle 2025. We are glad to present you the case for the battle. Number 1 fan. Designed by David Brown, Associate Professor of Finance at the University of Arizona and founder of MECC. You are a huge fan of Excel esports and have been paying close attention to the MECC season since January. You also made sure to get your Case Explorer badge. Now, not only your Excel skills, but also your memory will be put to the test. In this case, the levels are variations of 7 different cases seen throughout the year. 5 from the Case Explorer badge series, and 2 from the MECC regional competitions. The levels test a variety of skills and are unrelated to one another. Carefully consider the points available, the skills required, and the related bonus questions as you plan your strategy. The case has 140 questions of 7 levels of difficulty and 5 bonus questions. Good luck!
All right, so we're back. You can see that today's case is really an amalgamation of cases. The students have been working a lot since the beginning of the year, and essentially they're going to test how well can they take the skills they've learned and push them a little bit further. This isn't just a rehashing of past cases, but an extension to really push them a little bit further. What did you think, Eric, when you went through today's case?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I think because it is related to some of the cases that they've seen before, I think we could see some pretty high scores. But each level does have a little bit of a twist to it, so it's absolutely not like resolving the same problem again. But I thought it's going to be different in terms of strategy, though, because our typical cases have like a single storyline, and they progress through levels, and many times the levels build off of each other. And in this case, we've taken 7 different cases and grabbed something from each one of those, and so every level is independent, and so students don't need to progress linearly through this thing. So they can pick and choose where they start. So that's an added layer of strategy, and then that also has pretty big implications on the bonuses, because the bonuses are available to the first 2 students that answer each one correctly. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it.
Exactly. I'd love to see the start of these battles because of that bonus limitation. You know, if you're playing this at home, you can kind of get the bonuses done whenever you want. But here it's going to be a race for the bonuses out of the gate. Students are going to have to decide how they want to allocate their effort, which bonus to start on. It's not immediately clear because 3 of the bonuses are going to be unrelated to the levels, but 2 of them are related to levels. So, and those are worth a few more points. So how to trade that off will be something really interesting to see as they're kind of making those strategic decisions right now as they're getting familiar with the case. So now, before we actually bring them back to ask any questions they may have, I want to emphasize that today's battle is sponsored by the CFA Institute. So we want to say thank you to the sponsors for making this possible. And one thing I'm curious about, Eric, from your perspective, why do you think it is that the CFA Institute is pairing with the MECC, right? They're not a traditional employer. They're not necessarily trying to hire the students. So why are they doing this?
Well, you know, the CFA, the Chartered Financial Analyst, this has long been known as the gold standard certification in the investment community, and it's a multi-year process for individuals to even earn their charter. And at the end of the day, folks who have earned this charter spend their lives solving problems they've never seen before. Some of these problems take months and years. Some of them take a few minutes. But that's really what our cases are all about. They're about seeing something new where you have to grab a bunch of skills that you have and maybe just force your way through it and do something under pressure. And so that's a skill that's very hard for us to identify in the classroom. And I think it's also somewhat difficult for employers to identify in the interview room. And so this is just a unique way to showcase those skills. And so I think that the folks at the CFA Institute recognize that and they support that. And so happy to have them on board.
Yeah, agreed. And I think part of it, not only is it hard to test and identify these skills, but it's hard to practice them, right? So often in classes, you get a regimented approach of, you know, read this chapter, do these problems. You don't get problems that are coming out of left field that you have to just say, I don't know how to do this. And then start thinking and say, okay, I can break this into pieces and this is something I can handle. And that's
and you know, I often tell my students, and I think you tell them the same, it's obviously it's a good thing to get 100% and get completely done. But in these types of cases, really the goal is just make as much progress as you can. And that really looks much more like a day in real life than it does a day at school.
Oh yeah, those days where you hope to get something accomplished and you realize 3 weeks later that you finally got it done. But it's so satisfying when you do get it done and when you've seen that growth over time. And that's what I've, a lot of our younger students start out and they, might only get a couple questions right on these challenges or none at all the first time. But then seeing that in a few short months, you can be getting these questions entirely correct, mainly because you learn just a few key skills. And so for anyone that's starting out, I'd really encourage you, give it a try, watch the walkthrough videos to see what's going on, and then use that as a stepping stone to really build up your skills to get where our players are today. All right, so with that said, let's actually bring our players back and see if they have any questions before we get them going. All right, so any questions, clarifications on today's case?
I'm good.
All right, so just quickly going through. Matt, which level are you most excited about?
I'm excited about them all equally. I love Excel that much.
Top out answer. Andy.
That's diplomatic.
Yeah, I don't think you're excited about ducks, Matt, but I think I'm probably most excited about the horse racing one. I like that one. That's cool.
All right, Jackson.
I was gonna say horse racing too.
All right, then we'll see a little head-to-head horse race there. Alex.
Definitely the ducks.
All right, the ducks and the horses so far. Dylan, what are you going to bring it home with?
I also was going to say the horses as well.
All right, well, we have a bonus question tied to the horses, so maybe we'll see them all off to the races to begin with. Eric, you want to count us in?
Sure. We ready? Everybody ready? All right.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so now the players cannot hear us. We're in on the action. and let's see what they're doing. So right away, Matthew's working on, I think, one of the bonuses. It looks like he's trying to check how many of the horses show up in the list of essentially names that we have in a list. So he's going after one of the bonuses here.
This horse racing level, we've got data on a lot of different horses with these creative names, and we see how their speed in this tab that he's on. We see how their speed differs in different conditions like dirt, water, and mud. And then we got another tab that shows the track that they're running on, and so they basically got to figure out how fast these horses are going to run this track based on their skills.
Yeah, exactly. And it's look at this. What we have.
He switched.
You see this formula that he was using there? Count, char, and string. What is that formula, Eric?
I do not recognize that formula, so that probably means he's written a lambda. I think that's a lambda. Is that a lambda, David?
It must be, right? The
Gotta
students
be.
are going to be bringing their lambda libraries in today, and we'll have to ask them afterwards how much that helped them in the battle.
Yeah, so the lambda is it's fantastic in competition, but in practice, what you do is we know all these functions in Excel. Like anyone that's done Excel can say equals sum, and they know what that does. It calculates a sum. So the way you think about a lambda is it's a user-defined function. So the user actually creates it ahead of time, and it does a specific thing. And so he was counting the characters in a string.
And real quick there, we just saw Matthew's player card pop up. And you might have seen that his rank was 1.0, meaning that he won every single challenge in the regional event he competed in. So formatting, speed, data, and visual, he won them all. And there we see it again in representing the University of Technology, Sydney. And you can actually see that Jackson and Matt are tied at 70 right out of the gate here. Can we actually see the overall scoreboard to see what it is they've locked in so far? All right, there we can see bonus 1 and bonus 2. So those two.
So those are off the board.
Yeah, they won the race to get through those. So if Andy, Alex, and Dylan were working on those, they're locked out now. So kudos to Jackson and Matt. This puts them in kind of clear front runner position going forward.
Absolutely, because if anyone else was working on bonuses 1 and 2 during that time, they basically lost that work. Well, I guess they haven't lost that work insofar as it maybe can help them with some of the data prep for some of the other levels, but they did lose that work. They lost the time.
They did. And so let's see, Andy's working here with the food data. So this is based on a case that Peter Scharl put together last year for us on essentially what people were eating at the University of Arizona. So you'll actually see it's a lot of famous U of A alums if we see the data pop up there. And so it looks like, I'm not sure whether he's working on the level or the bonus. Oh, and there we saw Jackson and Matthew both just went up to 120. So those two are they're really cruising out of the gate.
So I love this this food prices and food data aspect, because it's a very realistic situation here where you've got one table that has orders, and it tells you what was in the order and where the order was made and how many of the items, but doesn't tell you anything about prices. The reason for that is each location is going to charge different prices for different foods, and so you got to have some way to go to a different tab. And so you see Andy switching back and forth. You go and look all those up based on the location of the order and some master table there. And so he looks like he's doing it in a pretty nice way, where he's creating a table over there with he's got an index match or an X lookup where he's going to get those prices.
Match, right? He's got two matches.
Index match.
So it's a two-dimensional lookup table is what he's building right there. So
yeah, because you got 2 dimensions, right? Because you got to look at the district and what the item.
Exactly. So district and item, that'll give you the answer. And so, it's not a terribly difficult formula to put together, but it is one that comes up quite a bit in these cases. For example, I don't know about Matthew, but I know Jackson has a Lambda pre-built for that one. So you can do these two-dimensional lookups a lot more quickly and efficiently. And you can see Andy's kind of troubleshooting something there that's showing up with an NA error.
Yes, the NA error is that's gonna kick in when I guess you've looked for something that maybe isn't in the table you're looking in.
Yeah, it means you're not finding it. That's what an NA should trigger for you. If you see that with a lookup function, it means for whatever reason, what you were looking for was not found. Oftentimes that comes about because maybe you didn't lock one of your cell ranges, and what you're looking for might be in the data, but it's just no longer in the area that you're selecting as you moved your formulas around.
Yep. Very easy mistake to make when you're copying formulas around.
Let's go ahead and move over to Jackson so we can see what he's up to, since he kind of came out of the gate pretty quick. You can see he's put in, okay, he got the fourth bonus. Let's see if it actually shows up as correct. So it's not showing up as correct. I think he might have entered the horse name rather than the time it took them to finish. So this is where attention
Also
to
an
detail.
easy mistake to make.
Yeah. What can you tell us about this level that you can see he's working on there?
Well, he's working so fast between levels. I'm trying to figure out which one he's actually on. What is? He's on bonus. He's on bonus 4.
Yeah. Bonus 4
okay. Yeah. So you got to figure out which is the. Is that the one which is the fastest horse?
Exactly. And it looks like his answer is a little off.
Yeah. So what you got to do on this this level is you've got a bunch of different horses in the underlying table, and if you figure out, you could go to this table and figure out which horse is the fastest in the entire table. And that's really, if you do the level that way, you can get the bonus pretty quickly. But I think the trick here is when you get the data here, you're gonna that base speed column. Some of the horses are entered as furlongs per second, and so that's going to be equivalent to like a speed type metric, and others are going to be seconds per furlong. It's going to be more like a pace. And so depending on which entry you get, you've got to flip the ratio so that everyone's on sort of the same level.
And you can see
that
Jackson just locked in the fourth bonus question right there. He actually had flipped whether to apply a 20% increase in speed or a 20% decrease in speed when he did the question. So he got that figured out there, which let him get that question correct.
And that's a hard thing to do under pressure. I mean, I can sit here in 3 minutes and write things down and say, okay, increase or decrease, and is the increase applied to furlongs per second or seconds per furlong? But gosh, under pressure, that's a hard thing to do. And by the way, David, you know how long a furlong is?
Ooh, great question from somebody coming from Tennessee. I do not. Can you enlighten me?
Yeah, it is 1/8 of a mile.
1/8.
So the Kentucky Derby is 1.25 miles, so that's 10 furlongs. So all that to say, if you look at that racetrack, good golly, this is a long race. Lots of furlongs.
All right. Well, and let's actually get back over to Matt, because he just took the lead at 360. We can see kind of what he's finished so far, because Jackson's come out with 4 bonuses out of the 5 so far. It looks like our other players are still looking for their first points as we try to get over to Matt's screen and see what's going on there. We can see that Jackson, before we leave, is actually moving forward to, I think, work on level 1. So not going after level 7 though.
Yeah, because you gotta have level 7 to get the last bonus.
Exactly. At least it's going to help you quite a bit as far as that goes. It makes sense to kind of finish and figure out level 7 first. But it's a big investment in time. It's going to be one of the harder ones that I think will separate our winners today.
Yeah. So here Matt's doing exactly what we were talking about. He's got one column that's going to be furlongs per second, and another column is going to be seconds to furlong, and he's going and splitting that string in column C to figure out which metric he's coming in with. An alternate way to do that is that one of these metrics is going to be greater than 1 and the other is going to be less than 1. So you could just condition on what that first number is relative to 1, as opposed to looking for that text in the string.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's going to be a lot quicker too, because then you can just, text split based on a space, get the value of that, and then just a simple condition, divide by, or 1 divided by that number if it's less than 1, otherwise leave it as is.
Yep.
All right, we got Andy Durant now on the board with 108 from the University of Kentucky. So Andy's cruising along. Let's go ahead and actually move over to Alex's screen though, so we see what some of our other players are up to. All right, so Alex is from the University of Central Florida. Again, a marketing and data analytics student. Let's see if we can figure out what he's going through. He's using the find and replace menu, it looks like here. So
interestingly, Alex, I think has won some online competitive card games. So he's
what kind of card games?
Sure.
Is this a
I don't know.
Poker?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine he's an analytics kind of guy, so he probably is able to process numbers pretty quickly. It definitely plays into this type of competition. So he's looking for ducks. This level I think is really cool. So our viewers probably aren't going to get to see the visual, but just to kind of describe it for them, we've got this picture that's a scene, and ducks can fly in from the left or the right, and so we're learning from the level here the different game. There it is.
Thank you, Alex.
Where they're coming in. And then after so many seconds, so the ducks fly 1 square per second. And then after so many seconds, there's a shot that comes out. And once the shot comes out, the ducks hear it, and then they fly really, really fast in some direction. So the directions they're labeled with an arrow. So they gotta programmatically figure out which direction they're going. And I believe the answer is the last cell in the scene that they were in.
Exactly. Right before they leave.
A lot of movement around that grid going on.
Yeah, and we've got more movement on the scoreboard. So Dylan's on the board now with 42. Looks like Alex is working on posting some answers now. Looks like he's made some progress, just didn't remember to put it into the answer. Yep, there Alex jumps up to 120. Andy at 120 and Jackson now at 290. So really good showing from everybody so far here, 13 minutes into the battle.
And that first score is key just for confidence and the ability to just chill out for a moment. Because I mean you're just shaking, hoping you're gonna score, and then finally you nail one, you're like, oh, okay, now I can have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting that confidence and loosening up a little bit. I mean, this is Excel esports, and a lot of times people might laugh and not think it's that much like a kind of a more traditional physical sport, but there are lots of elements of it that are very sport. You got to prepare the same way. You got to take care of your, make sure you're rested ahead of time, which actually brings in a big point of Matthew here is competing at almost 1 a.m. in the morning in Sydney. Jackson had to wake up really early after a day of finals yesterday. I'm sure Andy, Alex, and Dylan are also, pressure around the finals season. So these students are not just coming in here fresh and ready to go.
Right.
And look, Jackson taking the lead at 410. So let's hop over to Jack's screen to see what he is up to now, see what he got right and where he's at. And we'll try to make a trip back to Dylan here in just a second too. So
horses.
You can see at the bottom, yep, he's working on the horses. Given that he got the speeds all for the bonus question, he should be able to knock this level out real quick. Yeah, it looks like he's just doing a quick look up. Yeah, I think this level's almost done for him. And he's not even wasting the time of putting the answers in. And he's in his Excel file locally, he's just dumping it into the online file. It looks like he actually has a partial solve.
That's confidence.
So something's a little bit off, but I'm sure he'll try to figure out what's going on. Or at this point with a 75% partial solve, it might be worth just moving to the next level and see what you can get.
Yeah, and so how does does he know which ones he got right and which ones he got wrong?
So you can see he actually just got up to 100%. So he figured it out, but actually you don't know. So all you know is that, he had 65% right. So he knows he's got 13 out of 20. You don't know which one. And I actually ran into this myself as a competitor a few years ago, where I had 95% right and one was wrong. And all I did was basically go through and deleted each answer one at a time. And as soon as you see, if it was correct, your score's going to go down. If it wasn't correct, it won't. So you can use this live scoreboard a little bit to figure out where your problems might be, but it's pretty tough and kind of a manual process to do so.
Yeah, and it's time is precious. It is ticking.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thrilled to see that we're just past the halfway mark, and we've got nearly half the points scored by our top competitors. Because I think what's 1250 the max.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a little bit surprised that we're seeing people go 1, 2, 3. So they're moving linearly through the case, even though they could start at 7 or 6 if they want to. And 7's particularly valuable because that big bonus question 5 is related to it.
It is. Our behavioral economics researchers would weigh in here, and they would say, well, you know what, the default options are very, very powerful. You give somebody an order, and they're just inclined to follow it, even if they have the ability to deviate.
Yeah.
Amazing what our minds do to us.
It is. And we've got Dylan here on the screen. You saw he just created a new tab there, followings. So I think he's working on the Excelgram level. The Excelgram is actually created by a student. Siori out of Madagascar put this case together. So I think it is important to note that these cases came from a number of different authors. Jack Franken put together the horse racing case, as well as duck hunt. Peter Scharl with meal plan. Chris McNeil put a couple questions together related to football, those levels 6 and 7 that hopefully we'll see some players attacking soon. And then Siori with this level 5 Excelgram, which is kind of a Instagram-ish case where you're looking at people that follow you, people you follow, and that's what Dylan's really attacking right now.
So this technique that Dylan is using here, this is a very popular technique. And so you'll notice that the top left of his screen, on the other, that tab right there, he's got in cell A1, he's got a game number, example 4, and then in C1, he's got an X lookup that you can't really see. But basically what he's doing is he's creating this switch so that he can switch cell A1 from example 1 to like a game number, and then it'll pull up the input data in cell C1. And then from there, he can, inside this sheet, he can solve that particular game. Then he can go back and switch that control cell through all the different levels. And if he's got the model set up correctly, he'll be able to get all the answers almost instantaneously by just switching through that initial input cell. And it feeds into a data table. So data table is, he's ultimately going to use a data table here when he tries to complete the level.
Yeah.
Is that something you teach your students early on, David? Process?
I teach that in Intro to Excel. I teach that in financial modeling, and I teach that in Excel esports. It is so valuable to be able to use a data table to essentially run scenario analysis, right?
Yeah.
Many times when you build a model, you're not interested in one solution or one set of parameters. You want to know how things change when those parameters change, and that's where a data table is really an invaluable tool.
Yep.
All right, let's
go
back to the main
this
scoreboard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go. Yeah, and actually, as we leave Dylan, you can see he's actually using named ranges a lot here too, which is a great way to keep track of your data as you're working through a spreadsheet. But let's go to the big board just so we can see where everybody's stacking up. So again, you actually see Alex has tackled some of level 6, so he's moving, non-linearly through this. Jackson, in the lead, but not solidly, I'd say, since Matthew's right behind him. Looks like he's probably
those bonuses are going to make the difference. Those bonuses are going to make the difference.
Yeah, and Jackson and Matt have the same number of bonuses at this point. Ultimately, it comes down to kind of who got to the score first. So, if Matt happened to get 90% of level 5 right now and we tied at 794, Jack would get the win since he got to that score first. So we'll see if that tiebreaker matters. It hasn't mattered much in the past, but you never know when it's going to come in.
This is an interesting point for Jack, because he's got 90% of level 5. I don't know if I would want to spend much more time trying to get that other 10% as opposed to moving on to level 6 and level 7, because the way these folks solve these cases, they typically want to set something up where they're going to get all or none. And it's so something may be a little off, but it could take Jack a lot of time figuring out what those extra 10% are in level 5.
Finding a little error you make can always be super tough in these. So let's see what he's actually doing. So he's actually on level 7.
Oh, he's on 7. He's on 7.
He made a good choice, I think, here strategically. I think
agree.
level 6 is a little easier than level 7, but that's really hard to assess if you're not the case writer and really into it.
So he's got a lambda right there, and I like. I see the underscore in the name, and so that kind of tip. Well, one, I didn't recognize the name of the formula, but I saw that underscore. So David, do you just as a convention, do you instruct your students to use underscores a lot when they're naming things?
No, I don't. But actually, my students, so Jack is part of a team that I work with, and they've put together kind of their own kind of Lambda library, and that's the naming convention that they decided to go with, and so I've really adopted it since then. I didn't use it before.
I like
but now
it.
I do.
Yeah, I like it because it's quick and easy, and it's recognizable, and that most like native Excel stuff is not going to start with an underscore.
Right, exactly.
And so they see an underscore, they go, "That's mine. That is my thing." So here it looks like he's got a lambda there that's probably maybe a first parameter is maybe a starting cell. Then you're telling it how you're going to move, and it's going to return where you end up in the next cell.
That is exactly what he's doing here. I will say this one's a little tricky, and it's different from the base case, because in the original case, if you were going to go out of bounds, you would keep moving along the direction that you could still move in. So if you were moving vertically and you'd hit the vertical out of bounds, you might keep moving right or left. But here, as soon as you hit a boundary, you're going to stop. And I think this exemplifies.
This is the football field.
Exactly. This is the football field they're moving around. And so
this one threw me off a little bit because the goal line's also a boundary. You can't get into the goal line either, and so it's like you hit it and you have to stop. So I mean, I'm from Texas, lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan, and so this case reminds me of the Cowboys. Honestly, they get to the goal line, they have to stop and turn around and go the other direction or something.
Yeah. That makes me think of Arizona football a little bit too. I wasn't going to
say it.
You guys haven't really had that problem too much in Tennessee lately.
Well, we've had our years, but things are moving in a really, really good direction.
Yeah. It looks like Jackson's trying to get the bonus before he actually gets the level solved. So I think that's an interesting maneuver here. Because you can identify when you get to the border maybe a little quicker than you can solve the entire level.
An interesting thing here, David, you see instead of like a single cell popping up as like the output of a formula, you're seeing like a whole row change. What's going on there?
Yeah, so he's using dynamic arrays. So having one formula in kind of the first cell, it is then allowed to spill across. So this is all based on the data that is coming in all in a clump together. And you can see at the top there, and there's the, arrow 8 semicolon, arrow 1 semicolon. And so he's splitting that raw data into each individual cell that has an arrow and a number combination. And that's creating a spilled array, which then when you operate off of that, your formulas off of it become spilled arrays as well. So that's why we're seeing everything spill to the right. And it's really amazingly powerful building dynamic models that update as your data changes. All right, the other thing I want to point out on the scoreboard here, we see that, Jackson and Matt have really established themselves as the front runners for our winner today. But Andy, Alex, and Dylan are all fighting for a spot in Vegas. Our top 3 finishers are the ones that are going to get their ticket punched to Vegas. So really, we got to pay attention to that third spot as well.
Exactly right, and that third. So and that's so valuable. I love that these kids are getting to go to Vegas, because Vegas is so much more than the competition. It's the active cell. It's a 3-day workshop where you've got some of the best minds in Excel and related fields in the world coming together to learn from each other. It's a fantastic experience for these students.
Yeah, and we'll talk more in just a little bit about what it takes to get there. But really, I'd encourage anyone that's a professor that teaches students anything related to Excel or problem solving, get your students there, get a team there, find a way to get students engaged in something that's going to, develop skills that are relevant for their career, really regardless of what field they're going into.
Jackson looks a little stumped.
Yeah, this looks like, he's got 4 minutes left. Let's actually go switch over to Matt to see where he's going. I'm noticing the chat here is also getting pretty saucy. People are cheering
Is it getting
for
chippy?
and against players.
Oh.
So people are looking to call Jack out and hope that he chokes. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Really, Matt's got to take it from him at this point. And what is he working on? So he's on level 6. So here's a big strategic difference, right? Jackson working on level 7, Matt choosing to go level 6. Depending on how
and that's the duck level.
It is the duck level. Jackson decided to stay away from it.
And Matt's never shot a duck.
Right. All right. Let's actually go to the big board so we can, again, get a summary with 3 minutes to go, what everybody's working on. And then we'll really get into the leaders here to see who we can predict is going to win this one. All right, so we see Andy got 5% of level 5. Looks like levels 1, 2, and 4 otherwise. Alex still got
7 too. 5% of 7.
Okay, so do you think he's already put his Rand between in here?
I don't know. That's a good question. So at some point, like every competitor at some point is going to say at the end, okay, I'm pretty much done, and I'm just going to start guessing and just try to get something in these cells. And so that's that's another strategic decision. Doesn't look like he's using Rand between.
Let's see what he is doing. So here he is working on that level 5. So this one's based on one of the football cases here, where this one's based on the different plays. And you got to keep track of the most possessions that occur in each of these games across these different scenarios.
Right. So you got these labels and these labels for the outcome of the plays, and some of them result in a change of possession, some of them don't. So you've got a couple of things you got to split the text based on.
Exactly. Is it a fumble? Is it an interception? Did you actually score a touchdown and that results in the change of possession?
It makes me wonder. Matt's from Australia. He's a soccer, as in football.
Exactly.
So I wonder if those folks struggle with these American football questions.
Let's bring back Matt's screen so we can take a look at that, because really we got to see if he can come up with something of this level to challenge Jack. All right, there we go.
What's that level worth, David? What's level 6 worth? Six times 20, 120, 180.
Yeah. And Jackson just got a little bit more separation. He's got a 153-point lead.
So a full level 6 would put him ahead.
Right, and it looks like he's getting a few points here and there. I don't know if he's
Here comes Andy
guessing at this point. With a minute left, using Rand between to guess, some of these levels you can get a pretty good idea of the range that the answer should be in, and a little bit of guess and check can go a long ways. All right, so we got Matt here. Let's see, what else has he got going on? See, he's really trying to get these cell references. He's got his in row, his in column. This might be a photo finish. Oh no, he's going
ran between. Here we go.
All right, with a 171-point lead, Jackson's looking pretty good with 20 seconds to go. But let's see if Alex or Dylan can throw some points in. They're both within striking range to take over third place. All right. So I do love what Matt's doing here, and he just ran between cell addresses. Right, that's not necessarily an easy thing to ran between, but he did. So Kudos to
Yeah.
him for doing that. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, and that is it. All right. What a battle today. Those are some good scores that we see on the board.
Yeah.
So it looks like
They
at
are.
the end of the day, you know, levels 1 through 4 were what people focused on a little bit more. Kudos to Alex for pulling 70% in level 6. We'll have to ask him why he thought that one was particularly good. And really those bonuses. I mean, look, to me, the bonuses are what made the big difference today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Not just the points, like I said earlier, but the time that the other 3 competitors likely lost by not getting the bonuses done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to hear from each of them. You know, was that 5 minutes? Was it 2 minutes? But it's also the psychological effect, right? You don't see those points go on the board as soon, and that just hurts a little bit, and it makes it, you know, keeps those jitters going a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as a tester and organizer and commentator on these things, it's encouraging for me to see that every single level, somebody scored on every single level, and so nice to know that these levels were at least solvable, because you never, when you write these cases, it's unclear sometimes. It's almost like making a test. It's unclear if anybody can even get the answer right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's hear from our competitors a little bit more and see what they thought about today. So, first off, Jackson, congratulations. You were 6th place in the individual finals in Vegas, 2nd place in the team finals, 2nd place in the team showdown last week. So, how does it feel to finally be up on top?
Let me tell you, it feels great. After getting 2nd twice, it was kind of brutal. So it feels good to see my name up at the top, and all this hard work paying off.
Yeah, congratulations.
And we got Matt. So Matt coming in 2nd. Looks like you. So it comes back to the Ducks. So you're on the Ducks at the end. It looks like you were stuck, and I think you would have nailing that level would have probably, I think, would have put you in 1st. So what was going on with that level? What hung you up?
I was 80% there in my mind. I had if you guys saw, I had an address shift formula that I had pre-written up. But the hard part was bounding it inside the area, because the question didn't ask where would it end up. It asked what would be the last cell on the screen. And so when it would have shifted out of the sheet, then that was just throwing errors. And so I just tried to go a different route, but not enough time.
Yeah. No, it's you've got a function that almost works, but it doesn't. Again, real world. And if you had all day, you would have nailed it. So you're on the right path.
And I'm guessing a few of you are going to spend a little bit of the rest of the day figuring out what you could have done a little different. At least that's what I've done in these cases in the past. Jackson, let's actually go back to you for a minute. Like, what was your overall strategy for today? What do you feel like worked? What didn't work for you along the way?
Just start off attacking the bonuses. I saw that the first 4 could have been done just without doing anything else. So I knocked those out. They took a little bit of trial and error, but I got them. And then I actually did a good job setting up the data for some of the later levels. And then I just started working my way down. I did start on 1, and I think I did 1 through 4. And then I looked at the last 3 and saw which ones I thought were most doable. So I got one of those done. Then I skipped 6, tried 7. Didn't really succeed in that. I saw I only had 12 minutes, so I was just a little stressed, seeing I was running out of time. I think I got kind of close, but I knew I wasn't going to get there in the end.
So you did skip level 6. So the duck hunt level, did that scare you off? Was there something about the visual case that you didn't like as much?
Yeah, I mean, I struggled last time we did it, and then I saw that it was different enough that the same things I learned wouldn't have really fully applied. So I kind of considered that one hopeless and didn't think I was going to get any points there.
Fair enough. All right, Andy, what was your strategy today, and how did it go?
Yeah, I was trying to rush to get those early bonuses done, and I think I just screwed something small up, and then you know, that's all it takes because Jackson and Matt snipe that so fast. Like, it's hard to keep up at that point, and then I have to just try to outpace them in the levels, which is pretty much impossible given the scale of how much the bonuses are worth. But I just want to give a huge shout out to both of them. I mean, you guys are seriously crazy. Like, that's awesome. You guys are so cool. So that was really good competition.
Awesome. Do you when you approached the bonuses, were you going 1, 2, 3, or were you trying to be a little more strategic and saying, well, maybe somebody else won't start on 2, or what kind of thoughts go through your mind as far as that goes?
Yeah, so I think that my strength is my speed. Like, I think I ended up getting one of the better times for the speed challenge in the regional. So I was like, if I just try to hit up 1, 2, 3 in that order, then maybe I can just go faster because I know how I want to do it. But one small slip up and that's it. So that's tough.
Yeah, you clip the hurdle basically, and then it just slows you down for the rest of the race.
It's tough.
All right, Alex, how are you feeling after all that?
I'm pretty defeated, but it's a learning experience. I'm gonna go at it again, see what I could have done better. I'm pretty new, so it was fun, but I have a lot to work on.
We all do, and you know, the biggest thing is being here. So like, be super proud of representing UCF. You put some great points on the board. I think you're the only one that put up anything in the duck hunt level. So what attracted you to that level?
Well, as I hadn't done the badge series, that was one of the things on here that I was familiar with. So I was more willing to approach it just because I had done something with it before.
All right, makes a lot of sense. All right, so Dylan, what about you? How was your first experience on one of these broadcasts?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Kind of similar to Alex. I pretty defeated, not gonna lie, but it was a fun time. I think for me, the biggest thing is speed. And just, I mean, Matt, Andy, Jackson are just, you guys are animals, and it's just I think for me, I struggled because I don't know how to use lambdas. Kind of similar to Alex, I'm very new to this as well. So I think learning lambdas and kind of some of the other tools that these other guys know how to use would definitely benefit me. And then also here on the horses case, I slipped up. I didn't realize you had to transfer furlongs per second and transfer speed, so kind of got hung up a bit there. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the history of that case is we actually, when it was originally written, it was written in seconds per furlong, which is actually very confusing because normally we think about distance per time, like miles per hour. And so flipping it around, it just wears on the mind a little bit, really requires some problem solving skills there. So actually, speaking of lambdas, I'd like to get kind of a quick feedback from each of you. Matt, how many lambdas were you bringing in today?
Yeah, I was bringing in, if I just count them on the side now, I was bringing 19 different lambdas today.
All right,
so,
19 that you've practiced and built up.
Yeah, they were based on previous challenges. Only a couple came in useful, especially at the beginning, finding strings and ranges. But yeah, no, they were definitely good to have bring in today. And of course, the support from the chat right now was really nice. I just want to shout out to those guys as well.
Fabulous. Andy, what about you? You bring any lambdas today?
I've never used a lambda in my life, and I don't know how they work, so no.
All right, Jackson, what about you? How many were in your arsenal?
Yeah, me and the U of A team have built like 25 to 30, I think, and then I end up using today like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, and I think with lambdas, you never know when they're going to be useful. You could kind of build these things endlessly. And just to reiterate, excuse me, for the viewers at home, essentially these are custom functions. So Eric and I were talking a little bit about a 2-dimensional lookup. We saw Andy doing an index match. That's something you can build into a lambda. That way you can essentially put in, one array and what you're looking up in the column and what you're looking up in the row. And that becomes one function now that does the same thing as an index match. It just does it a little bit more quickly and saves you keystrokes in the typing. So really lambdas are all about reusing problems that you've seen before. That way you can kind of essentially take a piece of code, so to speak, and just reuse that. So really handy. And again, the more of these you do, the more prepared you are, the easier those tasks become. And it does create kind of a difference in the playing field a little bit on how much people have prepared and practiced in the past.
Yeah, I think that when you write your first lambda, it's just it just opens the door to a whole new experience. And you can do one just for the viewers. Like you could create a Lambda just like to calculate a weighted average or something really simple that Excel almost does but doesn't, and then you can learn the process from there.
Yeah. And I remember when I first saw lambdas, it's a big hurdle to get across. You do your first lambda where you take two numbers and add them together, and eventually you start to get more comfortable with it, and it becomes almost second nature. But it is important to remember that everybody that's using lambdas started out feeling that way, right? Like, what is this thing? How does it work? And it just takes time and seeing it over and over again. For me, the filter function worked the same way. For a couple of years, I was like, I'm not going to use that in competition, but now it's second nature. So the more this you learn, the more cases you try, the better you're going to get at it, and the more skills and tools you're going to have to approach these cases. All right.
Absolutely.
So for each competitor, anybody you want to say hello to at home? I saw a couple of people waving, or thank you to your supporters. So Matt, anything to sign off?
Yeah, I've got quite a good chat popping up. I'm appreciating everyone in there, all my mates at home, Freya at home. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Yeah, great to see the supporters from there. Andy, how about you?
I've got too many people to list, but my mom, my sister, Landon, Ryan, thank you guys. Love you all. And I want to also give a huge shout out to MECC in general. Like, people that come to mind is Mills, Llama, YouTube casters. Just thank you guys so much for everything you do for us. It's really cool. Really awesome opportunity.
Awesome. Jackson.
I haven't really been going through the YouTube chat or anything, so shout out whoever's in there, but I appreciate everyone that cheered me on, and I just want to reiterate what Andy said, and it was a really great event. Thanks for having me.
All right. Alex.
My parents mostly. All my friends are asleep now.
And it's 9 a.m. there, so that or 10 a.m. No excuses there. All right, Dylan.
Yeah, just my parents out in the living room, and then all my friends that are currently at graduation right now. Maybe watching, probably not, but yeah, thank you. And then thank you to all of the MECC staff for putting this together.
All right, wonderful. And I want to add a thank you to all the regional host sites, because the MECC works closely with our different regionals. So this last year we had Tennessee with Eric. Nora Junaid ran the regional in the University of Massachusetts Amherst near Boston. We had the University of Central Florida hosting with Sarah down there, Sarah Willocks down there, Leo Fernandez at the University of Technology Sydney, and then Paul Wagner and Chris Drake up at Northern Arizona University, which is about 4 hours up the road from Tucson here in Arizona. So thank you to all those regional organizers who really made this amazing event happen. It's what brought the students together for an amazing day of Excel. I really want to encourage anybody that's watching, if you have a school that wants to get involved in the future, either attending a local regional or hosting your own, it's a fantastic opportunity to really energize students, give them an opportunity to engage at a deeper level in these problem-solving skills that we see as so important in education.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we've got this is not the end. We've got a lot going on moving forward. We've got challenges all summer, and then I guess the big point's going to be September, October, where the next level of qualifications for Vegas occur.
Exactly. Yeah, in September there's going to be a big qualification round, and that's where anybody else watching gets a chance to kind of punch their ticket into the semifinals in Las Vegas. So those Las Vegas finals are happening December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Eric, you mentioned it's part of the active cell. So what exactly is the active cell, and how does that relate to the competition?
Yeah, so the active cell is a 3-ish day gathering of many of the best Excel minds in the world. And so this is not just a college thing. This is absolutely a professional thing. It's an industry thing. And folks come together to essentially learn what's happening on the cutting edge. And so it's full of master classes, community building activities, and then of course there is the college competition that happens in the evenings, and then there's the professional competition that also happens in the esports arena at the Luxor Hotel in Vegas. So it's an amazing event for folks to connect with other like-minded people in the industry.
Right. It's a great learning experience for the students, great networking opportunity. So really encourage you, bring a team down to Las Vegas. There's a chance to qualify from Las Vegas. So if you don't qualify earlier, we actually save quite a few spots, both for teams and individuals, to qualify. That way you get to compete in the esports arena, which is really an incredible environment to be in.
Yes.
So,
yes.
A big, right. So, if you're a student looking to learn a little bit more and prepare, like Eric said, we have weekend battles coming up throughout the summer. Each one of those will be at the junior varsity and the varsity level. So no matter where you're at, there's something for you to work on. And we'll have walkthrough videos from Excel experts that come in and really kind of coach you through and teach you different formulas, techniques, maybe show you a little bit about lambdas and get you kind of building along that progression to really just help us all become better at using Excel as a tool and better problem solvers at the end of the day.
Yep. We want to thank the CFA Institute as a sponsor for this event, and as well as just being an ongoing friend and supporter for what we're doing. And they're a leader, but we need more partnerships, don't we, David?
We would. We love to have sponsors. So much of the value here for the students is learning these problem solving skills that employers value. So if you're an employer that wants connections to these students that are really at the top of the game as far as problem solving, not only problem solving, but teamwork. This is something, Eric has really pushed for the last couple of years, but getting students working in teams and seeing how they think together to collaborate in problem solving, it's our favorite part of the team competition. So really you're getting some of the best minds here. If you want to recruit them, you want to connect, let us know, and we'll make sure that these students are aware of your opportunities and really see these students thrive in the next element of their career.
Yeah, and another thing sponsors can do, if you got a business application, a simple business application related to your firm, talk to us about it. We'll write a case about it. Put your name on it. We'll talk about the process, and we'll work with you. We have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, you help students, and students become aware of what you want to do. Or what you're doing on a daily basis. That way you can get that nice match. And so you're getting really quality leads from each of these students.
Yep. Exciting all the way around.
All right. Well, I think today was fantastic. We had lots of high scoring. We had lots of action back and forth. We got 3 students going to Las Vegas now. And I'm willing to bet that most of them will still show up in Las Vegas anyway, as part of teams, or just because they're going to be intense competitors that want to be on that next stage. So I guess with all that said, thank you all for tuning in. Eric, it was fantastic to have you in the broadcast booth here with me. Any closing thoughts on your first time here?
Oh, I loved it. I love doing this. I love the fact that this is actually part of my job, to get to do things like this. So, I thank the Haslam College of Business and the University of Tennessee for creating space for faculty members to just be creative and do new things. And congratulations to our competitors, and David, you've done so much for this. So thanks for all you've done so far, and I'm excited to partner with you going forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric. And again, thank you all at home. Thank you to everyone that makes this possible. This is kind of a dream that I had a number of years ago that it's fantastic to see being realized and joined in on by so many people. So I hope you'll continue to join us as we keep going and making students better and just having fun along the way. So we'll see you next time, and excel on.